Е, Щиро вітаю шановних учасників науково-педагогічних стажувань, які відбуваються на базі Ризького північного університету. Ризький північний університет є головним організатором цього проєкту. Центр українсько-європейського співробітництва, який я в особі директора Михайла Хляєва тут представляю, забезпечує супровід та місток між Україною та Латвією щодо організації цього заходу. Ми співпрацюємо з цим університетом, починаючи з 2020 року. Активно проводимо подібні заходи, стажування, міжнародні конференції, видаємо колективні монографії, а також видаємо журнал цього університету видавничим домом Гельветика. Сьогодні будемо працювати протягом години в рамках лекції «Штучний інтелект як співдослідник, розширення доступу до практичного економетричного моделювання». Спікер Абрамішвілі Нелі, доктор філософії, доцент Ризького північного університету. Нелі, please speak.
Hello, colleagues. Glad to see you here. So today I want to discuss with you one of the maybe most important things in terms of research. In terms of economic, we call this methodology econometric modeling. But actually, it's just the general mathematical statistic approach. And I think that's why it will be useful for many of us. Because every research is connected with the data analysis, with the accumulation of data analysis, and then making the conclusions. A few words about me. I am a PhD in economics and associate professor in Riga Nordic University. And I have the huge experience of teaching mostly financial and economic courses. And also the experience in working in financial consulting and business affiliation. And previously, mostly my interests were in fields of corporate finance and business affiliation. But now I'm trying to switch my interest to more global things, such as economic growth and other macroeconomic processes. Let's begin with the discussion of the role of data analysis in modern research. First of all, I should admit that this is the essential thing in most of fields. For example, in economics, you can analyze many different indicators, like, for example, GDP growth, inflation, unemployment, to analyze the factors which are influencing to all these indicators. Also, you can use these models in social sciences, like psychology, for example, when you are trying to understand the individual's behavior depending on different factors again. So in all the fields, when you need some factor analysis, you can use this methodology and this approach. In business, when you need to make the forecast for sales or for expenses or investments, or understand the tastes and preferences of your customers, etc., etc. The other field is, for example, education, when you need to understand the students' results and learning outcomes, etc. In terms of economics, for example, to use these models, you should have very strong mathematical background. And unfortunately, not all the universities and all the programs provide this background, which is actually necessary for all the types of research. And the problem is that we face here the complex methodology, also the software complexity, and then when you are working with the real data, very often you have the difficulties with interpretation of the results. And so my question for today is, can artificial intelligence help reduce these barriers and support the research? And my goal to explain how the artificial intelligence can help to reduce these barriers and to create the econometric or statistical model for even for the beginner with the very low level of understanding in this field. And I've decided to make it using the following structure. So we will start with the research example, which is my last research, which will be presented in the conference on Riga Nordic University in May. So it wasn't even presented yet. You will be the first auditory for my research. And we will discuss the econometric framework, how the model was created, and then we will discuss the AI application. I will share with you my prompts, which I used to develop this model, and we will discuss the limitations, maybe all together. Because I have my own opinion, maybe you will have other ideas. So what is my research? So since I'm originally from Georgia, I've decided to make the research about the recent economic growth in my home country, because our government, so they are reporting the very high economic growth in Georgia during last years, pretending that their actions is the result of such a high economic growth. But I've decided to look to the factors and create the model which explains this very high economic growth, because I had some concerns that this economic growth is not connected with the government sections directly, but mostly with the external factors, such as unpredictable, very high level of migration during last years, such as the personal remittances, which are supporting Georgian economy during decades, and other factors. So I've started with the research question, and I hope that the issue of economic growth is very close to all of us. Maybe not all the colleagues are economists, but I think that this is the issue which is important for everyone. So, and I will try to be clear, not using very complicated economic terms, because I understand that not all the colleagues are from this field. So my research question is, what factors are associated with the real GDP growth? Here I should admit that we economists, usually we are measuring the economic growth with the GDP growth. And real GDP means that we are not taking into account the inflation. So, for example, if the in GDP increase is 12%, but at the same time we have inflation in country like 10%, it means that the real growth just 2%. So it's not so significant as it looks from the first view. So the data source was the World Bank macroeconomic indicators. And the methodology is regression models. And the main focus on external factors like migration, remittances, and foreign direct investments. and the internal economic factors like increasing of manufacturing, services, and agriculture. So three main industries for Georgia. But actually, the main one is services, which is based on tourism mostly. And this is the other thing to think that despite we are considering the services as external factor, because these services are coming from the country inside, but the source of financing for the services is tourism, which are actually the external money. So, what are the challenges of my research and any other research, I suppose? When you are working with real-world data, so these data, they are very inconsistent, incomplete, especially when you are using the long time series. The other difficulty is methodology. So the question is which variables should be included in the research, which should be rejected. And even after running the regression, the interpretation of the result is not always obvious because when we have different variables, so in general, it's very complicated thing to make the interpretation of the results. So the key challenge is the understanding which variables should be included in the model, the inconsistency of the data, and the understanding what the results actually mean. So this is the typical research workflow. When you are defining the research problem, then you are formulating the hypothesis. When you're collecting and preparing the data, then comes this econometric analysis, and maybe in other sciences it will be just the mathematical model. Then we should make the interpretation of the results, and at the end we should make some conclusion and discuss the limitation, etc. And I think that this is the common thing for all the sciences. Maybe if you are coming from the natural, from the sciences like physics or chemistry, so here will be some place for experiments. And your data source will be the result of your experiment. But for economists, we are just collecting data from the different reliable sources like International Monetary Fund or World Bank, or maybe statistical units of different countries. But unfortunately, the statistical unit of Georgian government is not very reliable source. So that's why I decided to look to the World Bank data. So, the econometric analysis is the part which I want to extend and to discuss during this lecture. So, what should we do here? First of all, we should define the dependent variable and explanatory variables. What does it mean? That a dependent variable is the variable which is explored during this research. For me, it was the real GDP growth. So I took the data for nominal GDP. Then I made the correction for the inflation, and then I just calculated the growth, like dividing the real GDP for example, 2021 to 2020. And so this was the real GDP growth as a dependent variable. Then I started to look through the other data and trying to choose the explanatory variables. Explanatory variables are the variables which can explain this economic growth. And here you should, of course, you should make the literature review to understand the other colleagues' opinion about these explanatory variables. And I've chosen two groups, three variables in each group. One was internal, one group is internal variables, and the other external. And then you should choose the model type, simple regression when you have only one explanatory variable, or multiple regression when you have several axes. Then you should estimate the model and obtain key outputs which are describing the model, like beta coefficient and the R squared and P values and F statistics. So even if you are not very familiar with all these terms, you should have just general understanding what regression is. And then you should, so you are creating this, this flow using the artificial intelligence. So, here we have 6 units from our model, and my goal to show you the prompt for artificial intelligence, which helps me to develop every single of them, and then to make the conclusion. So the next thing we need to do is check the statistical significance and evaluate the model quality, maybe to make the diagnostic for potential problems like multicollinearity and autocorrelation, for example. And at the end, we should interpret the results carefully. And let's start with the first one, when we need to specify the model. So the scheme is following. I am presenting the prompt, and then I'm presenting the results which I've got with some explanation how it can be used in other cases, not only in economics and not only in terms of economic growth. So first step was to specify the model. So I should understand if I need the model with one explanatory variable or with the several. So the prompt is describing the situation that I'm working with the macroeconomic data for small open economy. And I'm asking, so I'm explaining my dependent variable, and then I'm explaining the explanatory variables which I have. And actually, I always asking him to explain something for better understanding, not only suggest the solution. So I am asking to explain the main types of regression models, for example, simple and multiple regression. How do they differ? And how can I decide which model I need for my research? And then I'm asking, based on my variables, suggest appropriate regression with the specification and explanation. So you can use a more detailed prompt, adding additional information if you are, for example, from other science and you have other significant things to emphasize in this prompt. But this was the prompt which I applied for my research. And this is just screens from the answer. So ChatGPT, if I was using the paid version of ChatGPT, explaining the basics of mathematical statistics very well. So it's not the field when you can have some doubts, for example, when you are asking about some subjective opinions. It's just the basic theory, which is not very clear, unfortunately, for many of colleagues, and that's why this tool is very useful. So the response explaining the difference between the simple and multiple regression. So the difference is that in simple regression, we have only one X, and in multiple regression, we can have several explanatory variables like X1, X2, etc., but the frame of the model is the same. And actually, in economics, many models are based on simple regression, despite it looks very, very simple, but it explains a lot. But in my case, the suggestion was to use the both types of regression. So, and here he explains the choice. So you can see at the end that the choice depends on your objective, whether you want to explore individual relationship or understand the combined effects. So I started with individual relationship, and then I switched to the combined effects because the results for individual relationship wasn't very clear and easy to interpret. So then he explains me the different types of models which I can use for my research. For example, it was a ChatGPT idea to divide the factors into external and internal using these remittances, foreign direct investments and migration, and include the manufacturing, services, and agriculture into internal factors. Because my idea firstly was explore only migration and remittances, and to explore the relationship between external factors and GDP growth. But ChatGPT suggested me to use also internal factors and compare the impact. And actually, it was a good idea because ignoring the internal factor was like being so having your opinion in advance, like trying to achieve your own goals, just manipulating with the factors, with the variables. So then the next step was the estimating the model. And this is the step when you should use some software maybe, and there are different programs for econometrics, and so using this software is not so you should be familiar with this software. And since I was working in financial consulting, my favorite tool is Microsoft Excel, which is very understandable for many of us, I suppose, because not everyone is working with some special tools like Greta or something like that. That's why I've decided to run the regression model using the Microsoft Excel. And ChatGPT can provide you with the very step-by-step instruction how to run this model, regression model in Excel. And this is the prompt when I am explaining that I want to run the model in Excel. And I'm asking to explain the outputs. What does it mean? All these coefficients, R squared and adjusted R squared and F statistic, etc., etc. And I'm asking to explain what each of these indicators mean in the simple terms. And also I am asking to help me with the interpretation of the results step by step. And so this is the response. So with the instruction how to find the analysis package, analysis tool pack in Excel, how to use it, how to input explanatory variables and dependent variable, and then how to interpret the results. So when you are applying this package, you have the output on the separate sheet of your file in Microsoft Excel. And this is always the same form of these tables. And you should find the following indicators, like beta coefficient, which actually means the slope for linear regression, the R-squared and adjusted R-squared, and p-values, which indicates the whether a variable is statistically significant or this is just the random result, and also a statistic. So then ChatGPT helps me to evaluate all these indicators. So firstly, there is the explanation of what all these indicators, what they mean. And then if you provide the ChatGPT with the result of this table, he can help you to make the evaluation and explanation. And also he can explain you the common mistake. For example, the most common mistake for correlation analysis is focusing only on R-squared and ignoring p-value as an indicator of model quality. So the next step is to estimate the statistical significance of the model and model quality. And this is the prompt for the third step when I am asking to estimate the regression model. So this is the result when the artificial intelligence explaining the results. So I just looking at the timing, and I'm trying to be more quicker. The idea is that providing ChatGPT with the results for different correlations, individual or with the several explanatory variables, you can ask him to make the conclusion if this model, the quality of model is good or not, and maybe you should make some changes in the model, replace the variable, maybe to make the individual regression model instead of using several explanatory variables. And so actually you can address any question you want and any issue you have with your model, and usually the ChatGPT provides the good quality explanation because it's just the basic statistic. But unfortunately, for those who is not familiar with this model, is sometimes it's tough to perform these models during the research. And this is the prompt for the next step when we need to check the mistakes in our model. And here we are discussing the multicollinearity, heteroscedasticity, and autocorrelation. And I am asking to explain what does it mean, all these terms, why it's a problem, and how can I detect it in practice, especially when I'm using the Excel as the tool, and how can I fix or reduce this problem. And so the explanation is also very clear, and so I've just decided not to put all these responses because the response for this prompt is very big. So I've prepared the separate file with the responses for all these steps, and I provide you with this file after the end of the after the end of the lecture. So just in few words, autocorrelation is the situation when the some variables, they are connected with each other, so they cannot influence separately because they are connected with each other, and actually you can use just one variable instead of using two. Multicollinearity is almost the same when all the variables, they are influencing together. And so this step is the attempt to check if we have such type of mistakes in our model, and also to maybe change the model to avoid these mistakes. And at the end, I just want to share my results. So first, I've tried the individual just to explain the possibilities of using the artificial intelligence for the research. So first, I've tried the individual regression when I tested each factor as for the impact to the real GDP. With the purpose to identify the individual relationship. And the result was that several variables, many of them, they explained the real GDP. So they showed the significant connection. Then I tried to divide the factors into groups, as I have mentioned already, to external and internal factors, and to explore the several variables together. And for remittances, for indirect investments and migration, the result was that the model is significant overall, and but the individual variables are not consistently significant. But for internal factors, the overall model was insignificant overall, but the individual variables were insignificant too. So using the individual regression and using the multiple regression, the only one regression with good quality was the model with external factors when I was putting three factors together as remittances, FDI, and migration. But despite the low significance of internal factors, the factor with the highest impact was the industry with services. So services production was with the highest impact. So, and as I have mentioned, the services actually, which are based on tourism, they are also external factor. So I had, as a result, the moderate R-square values. Significance depended on model. And so the conclusion was that the external factors are more important for Georgian economic growth today than internal. So the impact of remittances the foreign direct investment and the increasing migration have altogether the higher impact on economic growth than actually the increasing of manufacturing inside the country, unfortunately. So, yeah, I've explained the results, but I have the separate slide for it. So I think that this is all for today, and I hope that it was useful, and I will be happy to provide additional explanation and to answer your questions. Any questions? So I suppose you should unmute yourself.
Nelly, thank you so much for your experience, and you today demonstrate and share your experience how we need work with artificial intelligence, because today it's very important for scientifics when we prepare scientific work. For example, make a presentation, make other materials for students, because today artificial intelligence is, I think, is a good assistant and consult for us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I also can share my experience in a few words with the literature review, which is so of course I like to read different articles, especially in my field. But creating this part of article is not the most favorite one for me. And the artificial intelligence is very useful. You can provide him with the articles which you supposed the most relevant for your research, and just explain which parts of this article should be emphasized in the literature review, and he works well. But I've heard from my colleagues that if you are asking him to create the literature review from the beginning, sometimes he just pretending that there are some articles and actually lying about these articles. So you should be very careful. But you can use it on almost every stage of your research. And if you have questions, not right now, but maybe after it, during your research, I will be happy to help and you can address me.
Really, you did a great job with artificial intelligence.
I'm trying to be useful. Thank you, colleagues. Any other questions, maybe, or ideas to share? So then I will provide you with the presentation, with the file, with the instruction how to use the econometric models for your researchers. I will send you to our partners. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Неля. Щиро дякую всім учасникам. Ми обов'язково розійшлемо презентацію пані Нелі та вчасно розійшлемо сертифікати про підвищення, про стажування. Дякуємо за увагу. Бажаємо мирного вечора. До побачення.
Дякую.
До побачення.
Дякую, до побачення.